Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be diving into Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead.
Okay.
But we're going beyond just the story. We're
Well-
going to be looking at some fascinating excerpts
Yeah.
from the book to kind of unpack some of the themes
Yeah.
and the ideas behind it.
Sounds good.
So just imagine
Yeah.
stepping into a world of architects driven by ambition. But in this world, staying true to your artistic vision
Yeah.
could actually cost you everything.
It's a high-stakes world.
It is high stakes.
Yeah.
And Rand throws you right into the fire with Howard Roark,
Yeah.
this young architect who gets
Yeah.
expelled from the Stanton Institute of Technology
Right away.
just because he refuses to compromise his design principles.
You know, it's not even just that he's stubborn.
Yeah.
He's almost allergic to conforming.
Yeah.
Like, he would much rather be kicked out
Right.
than churn out these cookie-cutter designs like everyone else.
Mhm.
What's your take on this? It's a powerful statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, Rand immediately throws down a challenge to the listener. Like, what would you do?
Yeah.
Would you compromise your vision?
Right.
Just to fit in?
Yeah.
She's setting up this fundamental conflict
Yeah.
between individualism and conformity
Right.
that runs throughout the entire novel.
And it's right away we see that contrast with Peter Keating,
Yes.
who is Rourke's classmate. Keating graduates with honors. He's the golden boy,
Yeah.
the picture of success.
Right.
But there's this excerpt about his graduation. It's really telling. He's surrounded by admirers. Everyone's patting him on the back.
Right.
But he feels this nagging emptiness inside.
Yes.
He even seeks validation
Oh, yeah.
from someone that he considers inferior. It makes you question, what is Keating truly seeking
Right.
through this relentless pursuit of success?
Yeah. Is it genuine accomplishment?
Yeah.
Or is it something else entirely?
And this need for constant approval makes him vulnerable to people like Ellsworth Toohey,
Yes.
who recognize and exploit those weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Ah, yes, Toohey.
This is a fascinating character.
He's like this omnipresent figure,
Yes.
always lurking in the background, pulling strings.
Yeah. He seems to champion the underdog,
Right.
but you quickly realize there's something a little more sinister at play.
So he's not about creating.
No.
He's about controlling.
Controlling, absolutely.
He sees Keating's ambition
Yes.
not as a strength.
Not as a strength, but as a weakness that he can exploit.
Right.
And he does this with so many others in the book as well.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit.
Okay.
How does he actually go about doing this?
Okay.
Because on the surface,
Yeah.
he seems harmless, even helpful.
That's the brilliance of Toohey, isn't it?
Yeah.
He operates with this deceptive benevolence.
Right.
He positions himself as this champion of the common man, this critic of the elite.
Right.
But his real aim is to create a society where everyone is equally mediocre. Wow.
Equally dependent on him.
So everyone's just kind of,
Yeah, think about his relationship with Keating, for instance.
okay.
He doesn't encourage Keating's talent.
Right.
He encourages his ambition.
It's an ambition.
Yes.
Yeah.
He feeds Keating's need for validation and subtly steers him towards a path
Yeah.
that ultimately benefits Toohey's agenda.
So we've got Roark, who's this uncompromising individualist.
Right.
We've got Keating, who's striving for success, but maybe for the wrong reasons. And then we have Toohey, who's manipulating everyone around him. And then we have Henry Cameron,
Yes.
the once great architect, who's now ostracized and struggling.
Right.
This is where Roark ends up after being expelled.
Right. Exactly. Cameron recognizes Rourke's genius, but he also sees the harsh reality of their profession.
Right.
There's this incredible quote where Cameron paints a bleak picture of Rourke's future.
Okay.
Rejection, poverty,
Yeah.
the potential to be crushed.
Right. By a world that doesn't understand him, it's almost like a prophecy,
Right.
foreshadowing the challenges that Roark will face
Yeah.
throughout his career.
And yet Roark doesn't flinch.
No, he doesn't.
He embraces that potential hardship because he refuses to compromise his integrity.
Right.
It's a powerful testament to the sacrifices artists sometimes make
Yeah.
for their art, for their vision. It's this fierce commitment to self
Yes.
that defines him, even when it means going against the grain.
And that's what sets him apart from someone like Guy Frankson.
Right.
Keating's eventual employer.
Yeah.
Frankson is the epitome of the establishment, this architect who cares more about appearances and social connections than actual design.
Than the art itself.
He even admits that his desk buildings are designed by his draftsmen.
Wow.
He represents everything that Roark is fighting against.
You know, it's interesting how Rand uses these contrasting characters to highlight different philosophies.
Yeah.
We have Roark representing this fierce individualism, and Frankon representing this almost blind adherence to societal norms and expectations. It's like she's asking us to examine our own values and beliefs about success.
Absolutely.
What does it even mean?
And this brings us to Dominique Frankson.
Okay.
Guy's daughter.
Right.
She's this complex, enigmatic woman who's instantly drawn to Roark's uncompromising spirit.
Right away.
Their first meeting is electric.
Okay.
Filled with this unspoken tension and a sense of recognition.
Yeah.
It's as if they see something in each other that the world doesn't understand.
I'm already intrigued by Dominique. She seems so different from everyone else. What do you think it is about Roark that she finds so compelling?
I think it's his authenticity.
Okay.
His unwavering belief in himself. Dominique is also an individualist at heart.
Yeah.
But she's trapped in a world that tries to define her by her beauty, her social standing. Right.
In Roark, she sees a kindred spirit, someone who refuses to be defined by external forces. But their relationship is far from simple.
Okay.
She fears the world's reaction to his radical individualism. And later in the story, she makes this shocking decision to marry Peter Keating.
What?
Almost as a way of self-destruction.
Wow.
A rebellion against the societal norms that suffocate her.
Wait, she marries Keating?
She does.
That seems like such a drastic move.
It is.
What's going on there?
It's a complex act.
Okay.
Driven by a mix of admiration, fear, and a desire to test her own limits. Dominique understands the power of Roark's individuality.
Right.
But she also sees how the world tries to crush those who dare to be different. By marrying Keating, she's choosing a life that goes against everything she believes in.
Yeah.
Almost as a way of shielding Roark from that fate.
It's like a sacrifice in a way.
It is a sacrifice.
So we're already seeing these intricate relationships forming.
And it feels like they're all going to be tested as the story unfolds.
Oh, absolutely.
There's this underlying tension, a sense that something big is about to happen.
The excerpts we've looked at so far are just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, really.
Rand is setting the stage for this dramatic clash of ideologies, for love stories that defy convention, and for personal journeys that will challenge everything these characters thought they knew about themselves.
Okay, well, I'm hooked.
Good.
Let's keep diving into this world and see where Rand takes us next.
Let's do it. And as these characters' lives intertwine the conflict between Roark's unwavering individualism and Toohey's manipulative collectivism really comes to a head.
Yeah, and it plays out not just in their personal relationships, but in their careers as well.
Exactly. And one of the key turning points is the Enright House project.
Okay.
This is where Roark starts to gain some real momentum.
Okay.
He designs this incredibly innovative apartment building, but it immediately faces opposition from people who just can't handle anything outside the norm.
It's like they're threatened by his originality.
Right.
Like they're afraid of anything that challenges their comfortable, conventional view of the world.
It's a classic case of resisting change, and it's interesting to see how different people react to Roark's work.
Okay.
Some, like Austin Heller, the wealthy financier, they're drawn to his genius. They recognize the value of originality and are willing to take a chance on Roark's vision.
Yeah.
Even if it means going against the grain.
Heller's like a breath of fresh air in this stifling atmosphere.
Yes, he is.
He's not afraid of challenging the status quo, and he sees the true potential in Roark's unconventional approach.
And then we have the Stoddard Temple Commission.
Right.
This project could have really launched Roark's career, but it ends up becoming this battleground for his principles.
Because Hopton Stoddard, the philanthropist who commissions the temple, he wants something truly unique and inspiring, but he also wants it to fit within these conventional notions of what a temple should look like.
Exactly, and that's where the clash comes in.
Right.
Roark designs this stunning temple that reflects Stoddard's ideals in a way that's completely fresh and unexpected, but it breaks with tradition.
And Stoddard, buckles under the pressure.
He does.
He caves to public opinion.
Right.
And to Toohey's subtle manipulations.
And Toohey, being the master manipulator that he is, seizes this opportunity to publicly discredit Roark.
Wow.
He uses his influence as a critic to paint Roark as this dangerous radical.
Right.
A man who hates humanity and defies its most sacred values.
It's a brutal attack on Roark's character.
It is.
And his reputation.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, would Toohey have gone to such lengths if he hadn't seen Roark as such a threat to his own agenda?
That's a great question.
Like he's trying to crush this spirit of individualism before it can spread.
It's a classic power play. Toohey recognizes that Roark's ideas, his unwavering commitment to his own vision, are dangerous to a collectivist worldview where everyone is supposed to conform.
But even after this setback, Roark doesn't give up.
No, he doesn't.
He keeps designing, even taking on smaller projects.
Right.
Refusing to compromise his vision.
Yeah, he's not going to let Toohey or anyone else dictate his path.
He's determined.
And this leads us to the Cortlandt Homes project.
Okay.
Cortlandt Homes, this massive housing development intended to provide affordable housing for the masses, becomes the ultimate testing ground for Roark's principles and Keating's ambition.
This is where things get really interesting.
They do.
Keating, now a partner in Frank Kahn's firm, is desperate for this commission.
Yes.
Would solidify his status as the country's leading architect.
Right.
But there's a problem.
He doesn't have the vision or the skill to actually design something as ambitious and innovative as Cortlandt Homes.
So he turns to Roark for help.
He does.
Wow. So he's basically admitting his own inadequacy.
Right.
Going to the guy he sees as his rival for help.
It's a desperate move driven by pure ambition.
So what happens? Does Roark help him?
Surprisingly, Roark agrees to help.
Really?
But with a condition.
Okay, what's the condition?
Keating can have the commission, the fame, the glory, but only if he promises to build the project exactly as Roark designs it.
Wow.
With no changes.
So it's a risky deal for both of them.
It is.
Keating's entire career is riding on Roark's vision.
Right.
And Roark's putting his trust in a man who has consistently chosen ambition over integrity.
And of course, Toohey is watching all of this unfold, seeing an opportunity to further his own agenda.
Cortlandt Homes becomes this pawn in Toohey's game.
It does.
He wants to use the project to advance his collectivist ideals, to create a society where individual achievement is suppressed, and everyone is dependent on the will of the group.
And the trial over Cortlandt Homes is where all of these conflicts explode.
Okay.
Roark is accused of destroying the project, putting his own ego above the needs of the people.
It's like the ultimate showdown.
It is.
Between these two philosophies.
It's a fascinating exploration of individualism versus collectivism. Of the right of the artist to his own creation versus the demands of society.
And what happens? How does Roark defend himself?
Roark's speech in his own defense is electrifying.
Okay.
It's a powerful articulation of his belief in individual creativity and the inherent danger of sacrificing one's vision to the demands of others.
So he's basically saying, stay true to yourself no matter what.
He argues that true altruism lies not in serving others, but in pursuing one's own values.
Wow.
In creating something of value that benefits both the individual and society as a whole.
So he's flipping the script on the whole idea of altruism.
It's a radical concept that challenges conventional notions of morality and the role of the individual.
And does it work?
And it ultimately leads to Roark's acquittal.
Wow.
But the battle is far from over.
And what about Dominique? Where does she fit into all of this?
Throughout all of this, Dominique is struggling with her own feelings for Roark.
Okay.
Their love story is so unconventional. She's drawn to his strength and integrity. But she's also terrified of the way the world treats those who dare to be different.
Right. Like, she's afraid he's going to be crushed by the system.
Her decision to marry Keating is partly out of a desire to protect Roark.
Okay.
To shield him from the consequences of his own uncompromising nature.
So it's a self-destructive act.
It is.
That reveals the depth of her love and the complexity of her character.
It's heartbreaking in a way because she sees the beauty and power of Roark's individuality. But she also understands how easily it can be crushed by a society that values conformity above all else.
And then we have Gail Wynand, this powerful newspaper magnate, who initially represents the world's perception of Roark, dismissing his work as unconventional and even dangerous. But over time, he becomes increasingly fascinated by Roark's unwavering integrity.
He does.
There's a scene where Wynand, who comes from a rough background himself, admits that he admires Roark's defiance, even though he feels trapped by the same societal constraints that he criticizes.
Right.
It's the beginning of a complex relationship that will ultimately challenge both of their worldviews.
Wynand's relationship with Dominique adds another layer of complexity to the story.
Okay.
He's drawn to her intelligence and her independence.
Right.
But he also tries to control her, to mold her into his ideal. It's a struggle that mirrors the larger themes of the novel.
Right.
The tension between individual will and the desire for power over others.
It's fascinating to see how Rand uses these romantic relationships to further explore the philosophical ideas she's grappling with.
Yes.
It's not just about love.
It's not.
It's about power control.
Right.
And the struggle to maintain your own identity within a relationship.
Yeah. And as the story builds towards its climax, we see Wynand wrestling with his own internal conflicts. He admires Roark's integrity, but he's also built his empire on compromise and manipulation.
Right. It's like he's torn between these two worlds.
His decision to defend Roark in the face of public outrage is a turning point for him.
It is.
He risks everything, his career, his marriage, his reputation.
Wow.
To stand up for what he believes in.
Right.
Even if it means going against the tide.
That's a powerful moment of transformation for Wynand.
It is.
But it comes at a cost.
It does.
He loses his newspaper, his wife, and ultimately his own sense of purpose. It's a tragic ending for a man who seemed to have it all.
Right.
But it also highlights the power of Roark's philosophy.
Yes.
The idea that true happiness and fulfillment come from staying true to yourself, even if it means sacrificing everything else.
And that brings us to the final act of the novel, the destruction of Courtland Homes.
Okay.
And the ultimate showdown between Roark and Toohey. So after the trial, Roark makes this devastating discovery.
Okay.
Keating, driven by his insecurities and desperate to please the masses, has betrayed their agreement and altered Roark's design for Courtland Homes.
So he compromised the integrity of the whole project just to fit in and gain approval.
Exactly.
That's exactly what Roark was fighting against.
Exactly. And Roark's response is radical.
Okay, what does he do?
He decides to dynamite Courtland Homes.
He blows it up.
Destroying his own creation.
Wow.
Rather than letting it stand as a monument to conformity and mediocrity.
That's intense. But in a way, it's the ultimate expression of his philosophy, isn't it?
It is.
He'd rather see his work destroyed than see it twisted into something that betrays his vision.
It's a powerful statement about the sanctity of artistic integrity. And it leads to this incredible confrontation with Toohey.
Okay, so what happens when these two finally face off?
Toohey visits Roark in jail.
Okay.
But not to gloat, surprisingly.
Really?
He's genuinely perplexed. He wants to understand how Roark can remain unbroken. How he can face the world's condemnation without flinching.
So the master manipulator is finally confronted with someone he can't manipulate.
Right.
That's fascinating.
It's a pivotal moment in the novel because Roark explains that he simply doesn't care about the world's opinion.
He doesn't care?
He lives for himself, for his own values, and nothing else matters.
So Toohey's entire worldview,
yes,
his whole philosophy of control and manipulation crumbles in the face of Roark's unwavering individualism.
Exactly. It completely dismantles Toohey's power.
Wow.
And it's during Roark's trial for the destruction of Courtland Homes that Dominique takes the stand.
She does?
Yes, she confesses to her affair with Roark.
Wow.
Taking the blame upon herself.
Why would she do that?
In a stunning act of defiance.
It's partly to protect Roark, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also a way of striking back at the hypocrisy of the world that condemns him.
Absolutely.
It's her way of saying that she won't be bound by the rules of a society that seeks to stifle individual expression and punish those who dare to be different.
She's choosing to align herself with Roark's philosophy, even if it means facing social ostracism.
So in a way, her act of rebellion helps secure Roark's freedom.
It does.
And what happens?
Her testimony actually helps to turn the tide of public opinion in Roark's favor.
Okay.
He is ultimately acquitted.
He gets off.
He does, and the novel ends with this incredibly symbolic image.
Okay.
Roark standing atop the Wynand, building a skyscraper he designed for the man who ultimately came to understand and respect him.
Wow.
It represents his triumph over adversity, his unwavering commitment to his vision, his ultimate victory over those who tried to break him.
It's a powerful ending to a complex and thought-provoking story.
It is. You know what really strikes me about The Fountainhead is how Rand manages to weave these philosophical ideas about individualism, collectivism, and the nature of art into a compelling narrative with characters that feel so real, so human.
It's not just some dry philosophical treatise.
No.
It's a story about love, ambition, betrayal, and the struggle to stay true to yourself in a world that often demands conformity.
Right. And what's amazing is how relevant those themes still feel today.
Absolutely.
We're still grappling with these same questions about how to balance our own individual needs and desires with the demands of society.
It definitely leaves you with a lot to think about.
It does.
What stood out to you the most?
For me, it's the idea that true strength lies not in following the crowd, but in having the courage to forge your own path, even if it means standing alone. And that resonated deeply with me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'm still processing everything.
Yeah.
There's just so much to unpack.
There is.
But one thing that sticks with me is the complexity of the characters.
Yeah.
None of them are perfect. They all make mistakes.
Right.
But they're all struggling with these fundamental questions about how to live a meaningful life.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rand doesn't offer easy answers or simplistic solutions.
Right.
She forces us to confront the messiness of human nature, the contradictions and complexities that make us who we are.
Well, I think we've just scratched the surface of The Fountainhead today.
I think so, too.
There's so much more to explore.
Definitely.
But hopefully this deep dive has given you a taste of the rich ideas and the compelling characters that await you in this remarkable novel.
I hope so.
And who knows, you might even start seeing the world around you a little differently.
You never know.
That's it for our deep dive this week. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of The Fountainhead with us.
Yes.
Until next time, keep questioning.
Keep